Hey, hey. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. So it is Transgender Day of Visibility. So I wanted to come on here. I can't not be visible on Transgender Day of Visibility. So come on in. Um, so I wanted to talk to y'all about it so that we can discuss how important this day is. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Hey everybody, how are y'all doing? Y'all hear me? They done broke off. They looking all cruddy and late. How am I doing during this time of the virus? How am I doing? Hmm, that's a great question that nobody has asked me. I've asked a lot of people. Let me see. Um, Social distancing is a part of my normal lifestyle. So I'm a person that stays in the house. I only time I really go out is to grocery shop. Um, like during the holidays, I'll go over my friends and my families. My friends, we love to eat, so we'll go out to eat maybe like once a month, maybe once a month. But my normal time is um, staying in the house. So I normally stay in the house. I'm usually editing. I'm usually playing video games because I'm a gamer. I got an Xbox. I play Elder Scrolls. So if you got Xbox and you play Elder Scrolls, add me. It's Diamond Styles. Diamond space Styles. STYLZ. Add me. So I'm a gamer. I watch. I be on YouTube. Not all the time, but you know what I mean. Um, on the internet, podcasting, just doing like I do like Zooms with tons of people. I interact with a lot of my friends I interact with online because they're from other parts of the country. So social distancing is kind of a normal lifestyle for me. So I can't say that it's um, changing what I do every day, but it's something different about being forced to be in the house. When I want to go out, when I want to go to McDonald's, when I want to go to the pho place up the street because I feel like some pho, when I want to go to Papa Do's, when I want to go to McDonald's, Jack in the Box, or the pizza place, or Starbucks, because I don't want to be in the house. I want to be at Starbucks getting some coffee. When you're forced to not be able to do those things, that feels weird. When you feel like getting out and you can't get out, that's weird. When I do go out, it's pretty strange. Like people, I went to KFC the other day and they had like those caution tapes and a whole table in front of the register where you couldn't be by the register. So it was really distance. Um, People at the store are being distant from you, which I'm okay with. I don't care. Um, um, yeah, it just got everybody in this week. I cough because it makes my nose run. Any kind of air. I don't care if it's too high, any kind of air on, air conditioning, like cooling. It makes my nose run. Like it is what it is. But how my body is made, it drains back instead of out this way. It drains back. So I'm always coughing if there's some air on. So if I'm in somebody's lift, I'm coughing. And so coughing in this era is like, hey, Coco. So it's kind of strange having to kind of hold your coughs in, even though you know personally that they're regular coughs, but people don't be knowing. They like, girl, what's your tea? Coronavirus. So that's kind of weird. Um, it's sad to see people like passing away of full. I haven't seen, I don't know any, no, that's not true. Recently, it's come a little bit closer. My, one of the trans elders in New York passed away from coronavirus. Posted it on Marsha's Place Instagram. We did an honor post for her. We're going to talk about her on the podcast this week. So it's getting kind of close. It used to, and then one of the dolls, another trans girl, Latoya Williams. She's a popular trans girl out in Atlanta. Beautiful. One of the dolls. She caught corona and she was in the hospital. She's recovering now. So I'm a person who, when things are stressful, I'm a person who intentionally ignores them. Like I haven't been watching the news. I'm not constantly scrolling. I'm not, I want one or two updates of the day, but I'm not constantly going to be paying attention to that. I'm just kind of social distancing and staying in the house and not really worried about it. So I try to stay distance of the conversation. Anyway, yes, so I feel you on having problem finding toilet paper like me. I'm in Nevada. So stuff like that, like toilet paper. So dishwashing liquid, toilet paper, bleach, stuff like that, I overbuy on a regular basis. So when I go to the store, I'm a person who doesn't write a list. I should be a person that does that, but I don't. So I always think I'm out of toilet paper. I don't know why, knowing how I am. So I'll buy a big thing of toilet paper. So I have like 3, even without the Rona, somewhere in the closet. So I always have that. I work for Bath and Body Works, not anymore, but I used to, and I worked for them for like 8 years. So I got tons of hand soap. So I got like my whole under thing of under my sink is hand soap. So I got tons of hand soap. I got tons of dishwashing liquid because I always think I'm out of dishwashing liquid. So I always buy it and I'll come home and I already have like 3 bottles under the sink. Toilet paper, bleach. I got tons of bleach and washing powder or washing liquid for clothes because I always think I'm out. So I'm always rebuying it even though I already have some. So I always have overabundance of that. So I'm not looking for that. What else? I want to know why Russia ain't talking about the Rona. I don't really pay attention to Russian news. I wonder. I have a friend who studies Russia politics. I'm gonna have to hit him up and see. That's a great question. I didn't know that they weren't talking about Rona. I know everybody is trying to be political and think they got it all together. Got it all together. Excuse me. Yes. So today is Transgender Visibility Day. So I wanted to kind of come on here and talk about that and be visible for at least a little bit since it is morning time, well, afternoon time, and I didn't want to not do something for this day. So I want to talk about that. So of course, if you are not familiar with they're not holidays. I guess they could be considered holidays. Not official holidays, but significant days in the trans community. There are 2 days. It is TDOR, which is Trans Day of Remembrance, which is November the 20th. Is it November 20th or 21st? I think it's the 20th or 21st. I think it's the 20th. And today, which is March 31st, which is Trans Day of Visibility. So TDOR is like, I don't want to say the negative one, but that's what we are remembering people, violence victim to who have passed on in, untimely ways. So that day is kind of sad and somber. But Trans Day of Visibility on the opposite end of the year is more positive. It's to kind of combat, not to combat it, but to balance that out. So we have a day to remember people who have passed, which is in November, Trans Transgender Day of Remembrance, and then we have a day like today for visibility and empowerment and more on the positive side of significant days of the year, and it is intended for us to be really visible and share who we are, let you know that we are out here and that we exist, not just for people um, that are like cisgender, but for like younger trans folks. So there's a lot of times that where there's a lot of times people who are trans where they live, there might not be a lot of trans people who live in their area. There might not be a lot of trans examples who live around them that they can see. So being visible is really, really important so that people can see that we actually exist and they are not alone. There's a community they have out here that they are a part of, and we are out here thriving in abundant ways. We are out here building community with each other. We are out here living. We are out here actually, because as a trans person, just waking up every day and living in your truth is revolutionary. You don't even have to be an activist. Just going out here in the world and being the example of a trans person just living their life and living in their truth is a beautiful revolutionary act. So this day is to celebrate that and celebrate those people and celebrate the people who are visible and who are, out here in the world. So that's what Trans Day of Visibility is about. There are a few places over there that aren't talking about their cases. Yeah. I would have to ask around to see what that is about. Let's see. So let me talk about how I am visible in ways. So, of course, if you've been following me for years, y'all know that I am on YouTube. I've been on YouTube for at least 10 years. I think it's like 12, maybe something, at least 10, 2008. So yeah, like 12. So I've been on YouTube for a while. I am the executive director of Black Trans Women's Inc. We are an organization based in Texas where we do work around the community referring trans people in need to different services and different resources. That's kind of what we do. And we do political campaigns, lobbying in the state of Texas to make sure that we are doing our part in passing laws that protect, trans people in our state. We actually work with many organizations around the country to, just do whatever we feel that we can do that's in our power to change the political landscape for trans people or, interpersonal relationship in our community building and stuff like that. So that's what I do. I am the producer of Marsha's Plate podcast. We are one of the only Black trans-centered podcast out there. I think there may be another one. I'm not 100% for sure, but I don't think they release anything anymore. I don't know. But we are one of the only ones out here. We are on every platform, and there's some platforms that we're exclusively on. We are on Pandora. We are on Spotify. We are on iTunes. We are on Google Play. We are on every platform that you can listen to podcasts on. We are on it. And it is Marsha's Plate. We're named after Marsha P. Johnson. Marsha's Plate, as in plate of food. The theme is food. It is me. It is Mia Mix, which is another Black trans woman, and Zaire Alexander, um, who is a Black trans man. So we have the trans masculine representation, and we are multi generational. I am an older millennial. Mia is she's a 30-year-old millennial, and Z is a Gen Z. So we have a lot of how we center Blackness. We talk about, we are pro ho. We definitely center hoes and escorts and sex workers. We want it to be decriminalized. We center Black femmes. We, we talk about a lot of things. We talk about our elders. We center transness, of course. We talk about sex. We talk about relationships because Z and Mia are in a relationship together. So a trans and trans relationship. So we kind of explore that. We explore so many things on our podcast, and we've been around since October of 2017. So yeah, we are. This is we're in our almost to be. Hey, Kayla, how are you? Um, almost to be our third year. Our third anniversary will be in October. Yay! So those are the ways that I'm visible. Um, so I do so many things. Like people hire me to be host for projects. Last month, I spoke at Stanford. I've spoken at multiple universities. Um, um, just it's just I try to do what I can in regards to my Kalia. Gotcha. Hey Kalia. Um, so I try to do what I can to insert myself in specific situations so that so I'm doing whatever kind of work that I think is appropriate to move politically the trans agenda forward. But I also want to add some nuance to the conversation and talk about how I'm not visible in ways how I'm uncomfortable being visible so that you can understand that I'm not just out here like, oh, I'm trans and da 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 da. So on my day-to-day life, you are not going to see me having some shirt that says trans power or trans. I'm that's not the kind of visibility I like. I like to navigate the world where people assume that I am cisgendered and I don't have to deal with the issues that comes along. And that's a privilege that I have that I enjoy. I want to, just navigate the world with you just assuming that I'm cisgender, just so I don't have to deal with discrimination, so I don't have to deal with harassment, so I don't have to deal with anything that comes along with a everyday life where somebody might think I'm trans or like me, Mia, my co-host. She has a jacket that says "Trans women are lit" on the back of the jacket. It's a jean jacket, and she wears it all the time. And I'm like, Mia, why are you wearing that when we're trying to go to the movies and we're not trying to get into no drama? Now that's what I'm thinking, but I'm not going to tell her that because I don't want her to be ashamed of who she is. Why would I? Or not ashamed? And it's not because no. It's not shame. That's not the right word. Because it's not that I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if I was ashamed to be trans. I'm just sometimes I feel like, girl, why you want to bring that attention? So I guess you can say it's out of fear of some drama happening and then it escalates to something negative because that is a possibility. We've seen people just recently, a girl was stabbed to death in Harlem last week. And so, we see things happening. So sometimes she will go out with us and she got the jacket on. I would feel like it was hypocritical for me to tell her, don't wear that jacket. I would feel hypocritical to do that, because she should be able to be proud that she's a trans woman and wear that jacket that says trans women are lit and not have any problems, because that's how the world is supposed to be. And if she chooses to navigate the world in a way that is fearless, I'm not going to be the person that stops her from doing that. So I don't tell her to not wear the jacket, but that's the example that I'm giving out. I would never do that. And I would never, not hang with her when she wears a jacket just because I'm uncomfortable. But I wouldn't do that because I come from a different generation. I come from a different era. And so that's just not something, as of yet, I want to get to that point. I don't know. I might not, but I'm not comfortable doing that just yet. And so that's just not how I navigate the world. And when I work at a particular job, I don't like my tea being out at my job. When I go to work, I'm here to do a job. I'm here to work. I'm here to do my 9 to 5. I am here to, do whatever the job requires me to do. That has nothing to do with my transness. So at work, I do not tell people that I'm trans. I do not discuss transness. I am here to do a job. I am very uncomfortable with, where is your G-spot? I don't know what that means. He sounds like he's being, creepy. So I just don't feel like it's appropriate. I don't feel like it's appropriate for me to discuss my transness at work. I'm here to do a job. My transness is irrelevant to the job. So I'm not comfortable being visible at work. And it's not, for me, in my particular life, I've been fired from jobs for being trans. So I don't have the luxury of believing that the world is this happy-go-lucky place that is going to accept me. I've been almost homeless. I remember, if you pay attention to, me and my brother's interview on this channel, me and my brother talk about how there was a time when I had custody of him that I got fired for being trans. The only reason I got fired was being trans, and they told me it was upfront. And I live in a state where we don't have protections for trans people on the books to be able to, to have any kind of legal recourse, to be able to say, hey, well, I'm going to file being fired for being trans. That's just what it was. So, I've been fired for being trans. So that's something that has had consequences. And as I get older, when I was younger, I always had escorting to fall back on. I could put up an ad and make money, but I'm getting older. I'm getting a little chunkier. I'm getting out of the realm of being, this young, hot, tender, beautiful thing. Not that I don't think I'm beautiful now, but we're talking about the sex industry, and that in the sex industry, a certain package is more marketable. It's not that I'm not attractive to somebody. It's just that I've grown out of that stage where I'll answer that in a few seconds, Andrea. It's I just don't have the luxury. I don't have the luxury, and I just don't want my tea out. Would you turn it into an educational moment if your tea is out at work, or suggest going to HR? Are you asking for the advice? Or are you asking me what I would do personally? Because I don't let people discuss transness to me. If you come to me and you ask me my tea, do you see what I'm saying? Like if you come to me and ask, like if a person came to me and asked me, was I transgender? I would be like, why are you asking me that? Like I wouldn't confirm it. Like I would almost be offended. Like, why do you feel the audacity to come and ask me my tea? That's a rude question. That's not something that you ask people. And why are you asking me? That is disrespectful. Don't ask me no shit like that. Stop asking me questions about that. I'm a woman. Thank you. And so that's how I would be so, the person who was asking me that question would feel my irritation. And so I've been in that situation. And I just don't discuss it. It's not anybody's business. And so I don't confirm it or deny it. Like I'm never going to say, no, I'm not trans. Why would you ask me that? What I'm going to say is, don't ask me that. I'm a woman. Don't ask me no silly shit. Don't disrespect me. That's none of your business. None of your business. If I was, what would be, why did you think you would be comfortable asking me that? If I was, why does it matter here at work? Like I would give those kind of conversations. I wouldn't confirm or deny. And so most people, and then this is just my personal opinion of myself and how I've experienced it. Nothing is, you either know or it's like, I'm not for sure. Yeah, it's totally rude and completely inappropriate. Yes. I think I'm passable enough to where you're not 100% for sure. I could be not. Do you see what I'm saying? Like how I carry myself. I'm not as open as y'all see me on, how I present myself at work is totally different than how I present myself here. So I'm really to myself and reserved, and there's nobody can be 100% for sure unless they found a YouTube video, and for me, and that's what I mean. Like if you find stuff like that, then if you know, I don't care. Like if you know, I don't really care, but don't bring it to work. Don't bring it to my job. That's irrelevant to my job. And I've had somebody who has found my YouTube, but I was like, why are you bringing this to my work? It was very much like, this is work. Why? That has nothing to do with work. Why are you doing that? And so I can't say that I have had a situation where I would go to HR, but I wouldn't go to HR because I feel like HR would make it worse. It makes it uncomfortable. It makes the team uncomfortable. When you're going and like almost snitching or telling, usually when I respond in the way that I respond, they just stop asking. I also strategically put myself in a position where I didn't work with a big group. I worked in retail. So I specifically put myself in a store that wasn't some big ass humongous store. I worked to get to a smaller store, and I worked hard to become the store manager. So it got to the point where nobody could fire me. My roster and 3 of the people were trans. 3 of those 6. When I got there were none. So how I do what I do in silence, like I position where I was the hiring manager and I brought queer people into the fold. And so that's kind of what my strategy is. My strategy is never to be, oh, I'm trans. That is not me. My strategy is sneak up in the door through your skill and then bring folks with you. I don't know if that's good or bad, but it's good for me. So for me, being visible at work is not something that I'm comfortable with. I'm not comfortable being visible out in the world like that. I can be visible online. I can be visible at a trans event. I've been going to the Black Trans Advocacy Conference every year. So it's not about hiding. It's about being strategic about when it is necessary for me to be visible. I don't think every day-to-day life is necessary. I don't think at work is necessary. That was when I worked for like a retailer. But now I work for an activist organization, a nonprofit organization. So, you know, I do the work. We go to conferences, we do organizing. So I'm in a, I was a speaker at the Black Women's March in Houston this year. So that was a visible platform in the city of Houston. So I'll do stuff like that because I'm not scared for people to know that I'm trans. But if I know I'm working in a gender environment, I don't want my transition to affect my job. So I'm not comfortable with that. So that's a place where I am not comfortable being visible. Everywhere else, my coworkers already know I'm trans. Nobody needs to bring it up. Yeah, that's true. If they already know, then it's no big deal. What else? What are some? Are there some situations where you feel uncomfortable with your transness being out? Is that why you have so many television spots due to your occupation? No, I did all the television spots that you have seen me in. Um, it was before I had this position. I didn't start being the executive director of Black Trans Women's Inc. until January of this year. So everything that I had been doing is because of my connection with people. Um, People seeing me visible and me, my podcast. My podcast, I get probably like 15,000 a month listenerships. So that's about, let's see, is that 30? How much is that a week? So it's about 37, 36, 37 listeners a week. So because of my podcast, and it's not super popular, but it's popular enough that when you are searching for trans stuff, if you're looking for a podcast about trans stuff, we're going to pop up. And so a lot of people have met me through that. Like I said, I've been on YouTube for years. So some of the people who are activists know me from that. I've been out in the activist streets for a really long time, like 20 years. So, like literally 20 years. I got into activism when I was my high school, when I was 17. And so from then, I've always been, when I was at Jackson State, I was the first trans person to go to maybe not to go, but to I don't know if there was some stealth girls that went before me, but I was the first open trans woman to go to Jackson State. And so the TV people there would contact me, and I would be a part of groups and a part of organizing work there. And so it just went on throughout my life. And so like TV stuff, usually it comes because of people that I know. It's not because of work. Yeah. Oh, just so y'all know, published. So this book is by Chris Page. It's a non-binary person. His first book is Otherwise Christian. This is his. Theirs. I'm sorry. This is theirs, and they did a second edition called Otherwise Christian 2. and I am one of the contributors. He let me do a chapter. I keep saying he. They, because they're non-binary and they use they, them pronouns. They let me do a chapter, and yay! Isn't that so cool? So you can go buy it if you want to buy it. It is called. We actually are due tomorrow at 10 Eastern. Not 10 Eastern, 11 Eastern, 10 Central. We are doing interview. Me, Lewis Mitchell, and Medrick Moses. We are doing an interview on their Facebook. Otherwise Christian. They have a Facebook. You can search it. We're going to do a live interview about our individual chapters, and we're going to discuss it with each other. So it's kind of funny because this is the first book that I have contributed to, period. But it's not the first book that I've been in. I was in a book, it is old as hell. And I never was proud of it because it was a cross-dresser book. There was a person who was writing a book to teach cross-dressers how to be more feminine. And they mentioned my case from high school in the book. And it was cool to be in a book at the time that it happened. It was way, way early on. I haven't really told anybody because I'm like, why would my name be in some cross-dresser book? So, and because I was a young trans woman, and at 17, 18, 19, cross-dressers really was a negative. There was a negative connotation to being a cross-dresser. It was almost like a sexual deviant. It was, as a trans woman, they were beneath me. I'm like, what? They're just playing dress up. And you know how, that's not how I think about them now as an adult person who's gone through life. But there was a arrogance to my disdain for cross-dressers. There was a egotistical arrogance for my disdain. And so as an adult, I've worked through that. I don't know the name of it. I really can't remember it. It's something. If you send me a message on my Facebook, I'll try to search for it. If I can find it, I'll send it to you. But I'll have to search. I'll have to search to send it to you. But yeah, so that book, I was kind of ashamed of it. I was kind of like annoyed that I would be featured in a, not featured, but they just mentioned me in a positive light about me winning the case. But this book, Otherwise Christian, too, I actually contributed a chapter, and I love Chris for allowing me to be in this book because it really gave me, it really inspired me to really jumpstart finishing my own book because they edited it. They edited the book and edited the chapters. They did everything in regards to the contribution to this. And they are somebody that I look up to. They are somebody that I really appreciate. Really appreciate their advice and wisdom. So them acknowledging my writing and giving me that kind of feedback, I loved it. So Lavender, when it comes to my book, I'm trying life. That's one about my 20s particularly. I also want to write a book about my great grandmother who was went to prison for killing a baby. That's deep. But she didn't actually kill the baby. The mother of the baby did, but she was like a healer and a priestess, and she came to get help from my grandmother, who was the healer and the priestess. And she didn't do what she was supposed to do, and the baby ended up dying. And so she went to prison for that. So I wanted to tell that story. I'm still researching that. And I want me and my brother to do a book together about being raised by a trans woman and from a cisgender man perspective. And him, he's married with kids now. And so I think he turned out really well. And so us doing a book together would be I think that'd be smart and be good. And I think I saw a book where a girl was talking about, it was between her and her sister. And I think that was a great book. And so I want to do something with my brother. So I want to get a deal where I'm being paid upfront in advance for 3 books and sell them. I will read anything you write that's tragic about your great grandmother going to prison for that. It's nuanced. I don't want to say it's tragic because she was an evil woman, but she also was a loving woman. So she had some mental issues, and I think I want to honor her because she has a complicated story. I don't want to say that she was this great woman, but she also wasn't a killer. She was abusive, but she wasn't a killer, but she went to prison for killing a baby. And so it's a real complicated situation. No, I've never actually spoke about my great grandmother. So that's what, even though I've been on YouTube for a long time, there's a lot of my life that I have not shared. Most of my life that I've shared has been around my transness. It really hasn't been around my family so much about things. Of course, I had my brother and my mother because they were my immediate family. I haven't shared about, except one, I think there was one video, maybe one, I mentioned it a little bit, where I talked about my middle brother. Y'all know I have a younger brother, but I have a middle brother as well. And he doesn't fuck with me, and I don't fuck with him. And it's because of my transness. So, so I haven't really talked about him that much and how we have navigated that. There's a lot of stuff that I haven't talked about. But because I want them to be in my book, I don't want to talk about them because I want y'all to. I can package some book about stuff that y'all already heard about, but I'm trying. I want it to be fresh. I want it to be something that y'all haven't heard, some part of my life that y'all don't know. So yes, that's what I'm working on in regards to that. Yes, what else? So how are y'all visible in your life? Make sure that if y'all know a trans person that is visible and out here doing work, anywhere y'all are, that y'all are, whatever platform that y'all on, make sure you share their work. If y'all know a trans woman or a trans man or a trans non-binary person, make sure that you share them. This is Transgender Day of Visibility. So make sure that you are sharing the people who are out here doing work, because that's another thing when you talk about like the TV spots. When you talk about TV and stuff like that, one of the reasons is because people have shared me. People have referenced me. People have found me through other people. And so it doesn't have to be me, but if you know a trans person, especially particularly in your local area, make sure you are sharing their work, and not just who's out here doing great work, or just show them love. Like, this is the day. This is Trans Day of Visibility. So make sure that you are showing them love and putting them out there. They might need the elevation. I was to speak at a Translator Visibility Service tonight. Thanks to the COVID-19, we're doing videos for the P Flag Rockford chapter. Oh, great. That is good. Yes, that's good. We got to be creative around these times. I don't know how. Somebody asked me how I was feeling earlier. I'm kind of nervous because how my work is set up is I do a lot of traveling. I do a lot of traveling to different places to speak at events, to host events, to do events. And so with this traveling ban, well, not ban, but traveling cutting down where we be exposed to shit if we travel, half of my money is gone. Not gone, but half of my gigs that I would be getting paid for have been canceled. So it's like, ooh. And I have enough savings for about 3 or 4 months. But if I can't work, anxious about that. I do have various streams of income that don't require travel. But, like I'm not an escort no more. And even if I was an escort, that you ain't bringing no clients to your house. They could have corona. So, you know, um, you know, this is a strange time when it comes to finances. Okay. I did a Trans 101 event at my college and did some panel discussions about sex and gender too, trying to get Indiana together. Yeah, Indiana is a conservative place. I grew up there. um, I have a friend who's non-binary, but she flies out my mouth so quickly. It takes practice and intention. I hate it because I totally understand non-binary and their pronouns, but that shit always trips me up. It's embarrassing. Yes, and keep that embarrassment and keep working on it. I'm a person that makes mistakes, and we are human. We're going to make mistakes, but be intentional about fixing it. Be intentional about apologizing immediately. Don't let it just go. Correct yourself. That Be really intentional about changing those pronouns. Um, I love seeing you speak at creating triggers in January. Creating triggers? Creating change? Is that what you meant? In January, we gotta fix this corona so we can keep traveling and speaking. Yeah. I think you mean creating change, right? Um, Creating change was an interesting event. I had never been to Creating Change before this year. Um, Creating Change has always been associated with whiteness to me. And so um, I didn't really go to it because being around a lot of white people kind of triggers me. Um, because not all of them I love. I have many white friends, but when I'm in groups of spaces, especially activist spaces of white people, some of them are so entitled analysis, and they will say something that's like, that's racist, right? And they won't know that what they're saying is racist. Um, and then when you call it out, then you're the angry black person. Um, um, oh yeah, um, yeah, creating change. Um, and there was a lot of rude, shady situations that created change this year. Um, and so I don't know if I'll probably go back because my organization will want me to go back. But on my own, no. I'll go there for work. But this year I think it's gonna be in DC. So they might have us come out. But it also was a lot of black folks there, so I loved it. Danny Fowles. I have been working with my company to include trans care in its Health insurance. How do I make sure they do it correctly and call them out without looking like I am the problem? That is, Danny, are you trans? Have one of your cisgender friends do it. That's the job of allies. Allies are supposed to step up when you are feeling like your transness is in danger, when you are feeling not in danger, your transness is in danger, no. When you feel like your transness puts you in danger of looking like the problem or looking like the villain or being the angry trans person trying to ruffle feathers, that's when your allies, people who say that they care about you at your job, people who say that they are allies of the trans community, get one of your allies to step in and be that shield for you and be that person to step up and say that. Like that's their job. That's what an ally is supposed to do because they have more privilege than you. They have more privilege. They cannot risk being seen as the trans problem and still do the work of pointing those shady indiscrepancies out in the insurance. That's their job. Especially if they saying they're an ally, why would they not step up and do it? Makes sense. Yeah, that's their that is if you are ally and you're not stepping up for trans people when they are in vulnerable situations, what kind of ally are you? That's what you're supposed to do. Um, what else? Yeah, I think we don't let allies do the work that they're supposed to do enough. Um, we let allies say, "Oh, I'm an ally. I support the trans community. I support the trans community. I'm an ally, but you're not on the front lines. I don't want you to. I want you to be a comrade. I want you to be somebody that's in this fight with me on the front lines with me. You need to step up and say some things as well, not just me. Um, um, Other ways that allies can help in the community. I think for me, um, examples like that, I think them stepping in where I'm not always doing the work to combat transphobia within whatever sector I'm participating in. So I'm not always doing the work where I'm not always putting myself at risk to push these anti-transphobic agenda. Like it shouldn't just be trans folks out here doing the work. One second. It shouldn't be just trans folks out here doing the work. Um, Also, think out. Allies should be thinking outside of the box when it comes to when they bring trans people into the fold. You should not just be bringing trans folks into the fold in the month of June when it's LGBT pride time and you need to have a tea. So, ooh, I need to bring the popular trans person. I need to get one of the pose girls. I need to get whoever's the popular trans person in my city and put them on the panel. I don't. That's not a problem, but you got to think outside of the box when you're talking about being an ally to trans folks. Let me give you a perfect example. So I spoke at. I was on a panel at New York Comic New York Comic Conference. Um, so it was a comic conference for comics, not like comedians, but comics, like the books, comic books. And so I was on a panel about journalism in regards to comics. Most people wouldn't think about a trans person being on that panel. But the girl that invited me is an ally who is intentional about putting trans people in spaces that are outside of the LGBT box, because that's how you normalize us. When you just leave us in the LGBT box and we only can talk about LGBT stuff and we only can talk about trans stuff. I got so many. I'm a gamer. I can talk about games. I like comics. That's why she knew that was one of my interests. And so it was so refreshing to be on a panel of Black women and my transness not being the center of the conversation. If you're listening, make sure you thumbs up. My transness wasn't the center of the conversation. I just so happened to be a trans person on this panel. It wasn't the center. It wasn't taking over the conversation. I just so happened to be a trans person here. And it opened up so many doors for me. I met so many people. So allies thinking outside of the box, allies thinking outside of what they normally use trans people for. It's not, don't call me just when let's go. Hey darling, I'm in the middle of a live and you're calling me. Okay, well, hold on. I'm gonna put you on speakerphone so you can ask the question, because that'd be cool. All right, so this is my brother, y'all, and he said he had some transgender questions. And he said, the source is. So ask your question.
Hey, listen, y'all. This is pure ignorance. That's why I'm asking. So I know they're about to drag me in the comments. Hey, so the word tranny.
Okay.
That's offensive.
The word tranny.
That's offensive, yes or no?
Yes, it's offensive.
Explain.
Why the word tranny is offensive?
Well, I mean, not explain as in like nigga. It's impressive. What the fuck you mean? But
right.
But like, I'm trying to. So my wife was saying the more appropriate word would be transsexual, and I'm like, that's basically the same shit, though.
No, it's not. Okay, so actually, the more appropriate word is not transsexual. That's kind of antiquated, and that's a specific thing. The more appropriate word is transgender, or just trans, simply trans. The reason why tranny is disrespectful is because that word has been co-opted by the porn industry and used to objectify us, and it means a certain thing and has a certain connotation that is disrespectful and rooted in that industry. And so when people call you that,
that's what I mean. That right there is what I want. That's what I ask you when I say
why.
Why is that offensive?
Yeah, that is why, because tranny is used in the porn industry to kind of objectify us. And so we don't, it may seem to the outside world that, that's just a short version of transgender or transsexual. It's actually not. It has a history, and that history is the porn history.
That's a fact. Hey, since we're on live, shit. I'm about to ask some more shit. Hold
on. You got some more questions. Are y'all okay with them answering questions?
I know you're live and spice it up.
Get the fuck out of here, nigga.
So check this out. So I was having a conversation with someone, and they were, I guess, kind of like referring to me, like kind of like referring to, or like using me as like a expert on transgender, just because I have a sister who has transitioned, right?
Uh-huh.
So my response was like, I guess they were trying to figure out the more appropriate words and shit to use and what, you know, what would. And I was saying, even though I do have a sister that's transgender, I don't really know a lot about what's going on and you know, what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, because, and I'm not trying to be funny when I say this. What you want, baby? Hold on. You know, you're 1,000,000 years old, so.
Fuck you. Thank you.
So at the same time, when I was growing up, learning about transgender, it wasn't even transgender then. It was just like, the only thing you really do was like transsexual, you know, and shit like that. So I grew up learning shit another way, and now this shit is all the way down to a science. And so I was trying to tell them that, like, yo, I really don't have a lot of knowledge on things to say. And my sister is older. So shit there's different terminology used now. There's different pronouns used now. There's different, just like it's like different categories of, you know, LGBTQ, all of that back then, like, I didn't, you know, that all that shit wasn't fuck, I don't want to say a thing, but I don't have any other word, but.
Okay, so let me explain this. So language is a ever-growing entity. So language, period. Like with the language that we use in the 80s.
Wait. Because I really didn't get to my question. So being you damn near 1 foot in the grave now, how
you see how he's a hater? You see he's 30.
How really important, because you know, like,
you can spit the question out.
How important really is it, you know, learning different things and learning the new terminology and education? I know all of that shit is important to you because you are an advocate of the culture. But, like, do you evolve eventually? Or does some shit that I used to do when I was little and it'd be okay and get away with, is that offensive to you now?
It depends on what it is.
Like we used to all the fucking time when I was younger. But now training is offensive. And I never knew that before.
Okay.
In the same way, with you teaching me that, you know, fag was offensive. I didn't know fag was offensive.
Okay.
I thought fag was a term of endearment, like we use nigga.
Okay, so is that your question? So I can break it down? Is that your question so I can break it down?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sort of. I don't even think I really asked one.
You asked a bunch of stuff. You need clarity on the situation. So language is a ever-evolving entity. Like language, if you think about it from a Black perspective, we used to be called Negro, then we used to be called colored, then we called African American. Then we were called Black, then African American. Now it's back Black and proud again. Language, what's offensive, what's not offensive, changes over time. And so the concept of language changing is not that hard to understand. So that's one aspect I want you to get. So understand the language is changing.
That's a great example.
Yes. So it's always going to change. It's going to change outside of my generation. It's going to change into something else with somebody who's younger than me and somebody who's younger than you. And so Language is always going to evolve. What you are experiencing is trans folks are defining their language. Okay?
Yeah.
Trans people are getting clarity about language that at one point in our time frame, in regard to our political discourse in this country, some things weren't clear because didn't nobody give a fuck about us to clear things up. But we're getting to a point now where we have a voice, where we have platforms, where people are giving us the spotlight to clear some of the things up, to give you nuance. It's not just, oh, I'm a man. I'm a man stuck in a woman's body. That language was used because it dumbed it down for people to understand.
Yeah.
But now that we're older, now that we have come further, now we need to throw that language away and make new language so you can understand it in a more nuanced way. So things are going to constantly change. It's not necessarily changing who we are and what we do, but it is to give you a little bit deeper understanding in how the nuance in our community is. Just like POC. Think about the word POC, people of color. People of color can be South Asians. It could be dark-skinned Brazilians. It could be African Americans. It could be Africans. It could be even like some dark-skinned Europeans. People of color is basically anything but white. But people of color is not black. Do you see what I'm saying? So when we talk about transgender, that's equal to people of color. There's multiple things that could be transgender. When we talk about non-binary folks, when we talk about transsexuals, when we talk about, but there are particular words that let you know individuals within that group. So when we talk about intersex people, when we talk about non-binary, when we talk about transsexual, those words are all under the umbrella of transgender, just like black is under the umbrella of POC. You see what I'm saying? When we talk about POC, but sometimes we need to be specific and say black. We're not talking about South. When we talk about privilege, when we talk about the bottom of racial privilege, sometimes we got to talk about blackness and not talk about brown, like Latinas and Afro-Latinx people. You get what I'm saying? Sometimes you need to be specific. So I am a transsexual. That's what I am. So, but I'm also transgender too. And so when you're talking to a person, you need to figure out which.
Wait, what?
Say it again.
You say you transgender? Oh wait, you say you transsexual and what?
And transgender too. Both of those words fit me. So with you in particularly, you were raised around me. So I use the word fag because I'm a hood girl that I'm ratchet. So I'm going to use bitch, I'm going to use nigga, I'm going to use fag because that was a part of my language. When I was younger, I'm going to use, I would use transies or tranny. I will use that word freely because it wasn't offensive to me. And actually right now in this moment, to me, it's not offensive, but to my community as a whole, that word is offensive. Do you see what I'm saying? So to me, I think that
goes back to speaking on your point. I think it's just, by you breaking this down and saying that, I think that it's just as important to grow with your loved ones. As far as educating yourself, because like we're talking about now, hell, I'm learning shit. I'm 30. I'm learning shit that, you feel me? Shit wasn't the same.
Yeah.
And if I choose to be stuck in what I was taught when I was younger and what was acceptable when I was younger, that might cause us to clash some heads. You feel me? Because you're growing with your language and your culture and your understanding, and I'm not. I'm still using terms that were, you feel me?
Yes, because you're not in my house anymore. You were in my house, so you were growing with the language. You were learning language, what was right to say, wasn't wrong to say. But because I've been in the community longer and I'm growing and evolving with my community, but you're not in my house to grow and evolve with me, sometimes we're going to have this conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and luckily for you, you are, you know, you have a sibling that's willing to talk about it. I don't have dysphoric episodes where I'm like, oh, I don't want to talk about it, da 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 da. I'm willing to discuss it and educate. Some trans folks are not willing to discuss it and educate. They're annoyed by it. They feel it's not their place. They feel like you can go Google. And so sometimes you don't need to be.
And I ain't Googling that shit.
Yeah, so, and somebody like you is not going to Google because it really doesn't matter.
So it's either we're gonna, you know what I'm saying, it's easier to talk about it with people who you know, fuck with versus if it don't really, not to say that it don't really apply, but
it doesn't. That's okay to say.
I don't, you get what I'm saying? Like, I don't, what'd you say?
But that's it. You're right. It doesn't apply to you. It's something that you don't have to 100% care about because you are a cisgender straight male. So this is a voluntary educational exploration. And it's a lot of times when that exploration gets difficult or when it requires a little bit more energy, most of the time they'll just give up. And I don't want to say that I'm not like that because I'm like that too. If it don't got nothing to do with me and it gets a little too difficult. Yes, Reggie.
Yeah.
And it gets a little too bit like, let me give you like Palestine. Like it took me a while to get into the political analysis of Palestine and the conflict between Palestine and Israel. Because I'm not Israel. I don't live over there. Why do I need to care about that shit? But I needed that education. You see what I'm saying? I really needed that education so I can connect it to what's going on in America, so I can connect it to what's going on in other places of oppression. I'm a person who needs to learn that kind of stuff, but there was a level of laziness and resistance when it comes to learning about somebody else's oppression. And so I can't say that I'm not guilty of that, but I think you really have to break that cycle. I'm not saying that you have to, because if it's not irrelevant to your life, then you know, I get it. But you have a whole trans sibling that's gonna be here for another 40 years. Motherfucker. At least. So, you know, you have a whole trans sibling. So knowing these things, and because of what you just said, because you have a trans sibling, because you have a transgender sibling, people are going to look to you for education, and it will be advantageous for you to talk to me. Not that you don't, because like you just did, you called me and asked me questions, but because they're gonna look to you as a person with a certain level of expertise because you have a trans sibling that you have been around and loved unconditionally for years. So people are going to look for you for answers, and there's a reason why you have that particular skill set.
But the thing about it, I be making shit so damn. They making sure you ain't going that driveway. I be making shit so simple. So for me, it's not as just shit ain't as hard and complicated as a lot of people make it. And so when they come, and so that's I be calling so I can break it down. But I make shit like super simple, like the D-Wade shit. Like, you know, motherfuckers asking how I feel about, you know, the D-Wade shit. I'm like, who gives a fuck? Like, you feel me? Like the way I am, you know, and you know how I am and how I feel about family. Like, you know, if it's your family, so the fuck what? And it's just that simple to me, but it's not that simple to them. To people.
Well, and I think what you got to understand is who you get that. That's kind of instilled in you, but also There's a reason why you have that feeling. You have the trans people. Most people who meet trans people in an intimate setting, like they either work with them or they're a family with them or they have an intimate relationship with a trans person, they feel how you do because they have a connection to them. Usually the people who are invested in hating trans people is because they have no trans people for reference in their personal lives.
But you're right. That's 100% correct. And I get that. I just don't be understanding, like, I don't know. So that's like fucking saying that I'd have some, and I'm a huge fucking like sports fanatic. Huge. I love it. Like, I breathe this shit. This is my shit. But let's say your nephew grows up to fucking like chess or some shit. Robotics or some crazy shit, right?
Right.
So I'm gonna go to the chess tournament and be just as fucking crunk as if I was at a basketball game. And that's just because that's something that my son loves and that's what he likes to do. Right?
Right.
And I'm gonna be supportive of whatever my people like. So that's why I say it's simple for me, not just because I have an intimate relationship with a transgender person. It's deeper than that.
No. That's why I said it's just a part. But I think it's in your personality as a person to look at the good in people. I think. I think that's you have always been like that. Even when it comes to our relationship with our mother and shit like that, you were always the one who was like, I was the angry one. You were the more forgiving one. You was the more I think it's partially a part of your just natural personality, but I also think it's just a level of your experience of being marginalized yourself. The feeling, not marginalized as a trans person, of course, but marginalized as a poor Black boy.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Marginalized as all of those things give you a certain level of empathy that other people of privilege who have not experienced those things just will not have. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you do. They just won't have it because they don't have that level of intimacy with a person to understand them, to put their self in them shoes, or the underlying emotional feeling of being marginalized. And I think you have that, and you also have a intimate knowledge of not being. And I think that's all about your background. I don't think that's it's not necessarily about me, but it's a certain level of emotional intelligence that's important that you have. That right, Tia, that's exactly what it is. Because of what we have been through in our lives, people we have been exposed to, things that we have been through, it's a certain level of emotional maturity that we have. So when it comes to understanding people and caring for other people outside of ourselves, we can deal with that. We know how to do it. We know how to step up to the plate for the people that we love. I think that's something that we do.
I fuck with that. That's a good way to put it right there.
Yeah, and some people just don't. Like when you have fathers.
Oh, look. Check this out. Let me switch it. Let me switch the move real quick.
Okay,
right?
Go ahead.
So I was talking to so we're gonna talk, current event. Cool. I'm slick narrating this live right now. So
nigga, ask your fucking question.
Y'all niggas, you feel me? So current event. Me and Georgia was talking the other day about this coronavirus, right? And we were kind of referencing that because we were talking about there was like the way that the way that I forgot what exactly he said or like what was there, but kind of the gist of, you remember when when AIDS and HIV was so big, and they tried to I guess single out gay people and try to make it, I guess, try to find someone to blame for the disease, right?
Yes.
And we were talking about the coronavirus, and we were just saying, like, now people are seeing, how gay people felt back when we were choosing to blame them. How, like, anybody, like, no matter what background you come from, what sexual orientation, you feel me, you choose what's called it, anybody should be, you feel me, fall victim to this shit. Like, there's not a one person to blame. You can look like anybody can have. You can live any type of lifestyle and get this shit. So it's just not one community that's to blame for it.
Right. But even during the AIDS epidemic, it wasn't one community. Anybody who had sex could catch HIV, and it turned to AIDS.
That's what we were saying. But people were trying to pinpoint it down to gay men.
Right.
And that wasn't even remotely the case.
Right. Exactly. That's one thing. And now, now it's kind of like Asians, because whatever it started in Asia or whatever they're saying, now the people are going to always try to find somebody to blame something on. But yes, I'm so glad that y'all made that connection. That was a great analysis, especially coming from Aunt Georgia. So
that motherfucker's scared, boy.
Yeah, she has changed a lot. She definitely has come a long way in our journey together. But all right, are there other questions that you have?
That is it for me.
All right.
We love you.
We love you.
All right, take care. Love you.
All right, stay in the house. Yes, my Aunt Georgia, she has come a long way. She used to Bible thump me down. Like, she used to say shit like, she used to say that HIV comes from the mixture of semen, fecal matter, and blood. When you mix those together, it creates the virus, and that's why gays get it so quickly. She used to say some off the wall shit. She just used to Bible thump, and it just was so wild to me. We used to get in reading sessions. I would read her, and she was sleeping with somebody's husband, and I used to call her out about it. She had a baby, and not that I would. So I'm the type of person that if I don't care about. So say there's a girl who who has a baby at 15, 16. I'm never going to try to shame her or do anything or say anything to somebody who has a baby at a young age. My mom was a teen mom, so there's a certain level of understanding that I have about that. But if you are a person that's judging me based on being trans, and I know that's something that happened to you, I'll use that to pop your ass back. So when she would try to be kind of self-righteous and uppity fucking Christian spiritual bitch, I would pop out. I would use every wrong, unholy, anti-Christian thing that she ever fucking did to pop her with. Bitch, you had a baby at 16. Bitch, you fucking somebody else's husband. You is not about to preach to me and Bible thump me while I'm driving you to meet somebody else's husband to fuck. no, we is not gonna do that today. And that was my Aunt Georgia. She would, and now we were cool then because we really needed each other at the time. Yeah, you got to keep them humble when they try it. Exactly. And you don't understand. I am one of those people in my family that, as a trans person, really, I think any kind of like queer person can maybe attest to this. Everyone that I know has, because we are queer, people will tell us their secrets and be open to us about all their tea because they feel like, oh, you queer, you can't judge me, so I can just give you all my tea. So like all the girls who was hoes in high school always told me all their business because you're a trans person. I know you're not gonna judge me. So if I'm sucking dick, if I'm fucking getting trains ran on me, I can tell you all of it. I can tell you all the business because you're not gonna judge me. So people will tell me all their tea and I'll know all the business. And they will, and I'm literally the keeper of the secrets. I know shit. And it's not necessarily a secret. Like if you done molested somebody in my family, I know about it, and I will, if you get to being cute, I will call it out at the family reunion, at the family picnic, at the family cookout. I will be like, yeah, you used to touch my mama when she was little. Mm-hmm. So don't be trying to be over there judging me for being trans. Let's pull all these skeletons. Doop, doop, doop. I'll snatch them right out the closet, and we'll all be in here with laid out like a platter, bitch. And so, I was that person. The person in my family learned early on that I was not the one to be cute with at the family function because I call it all out. So, I remember my aunt, Catherine, but we country, so we call her Catherine. My aunt Catherine. My aunt Catherine, like, she used to dress like a stud. But I had came to her house one time, and I guess she didn't want me to be there because I was trans. And I just came with my family. And she had got real cute with me and basically wanted me to leave her house. And I called my mother on the phone, put her on speakerphone, and told my mom, hey, Mom, Catherine is kicking me out of her house. Not kicking me out, but she's basically have a problem with me coming in her house. But since we're spilling, since we're being funny and, tell me this. Who was the woman that molested you when you were 6 years old? Mom. And my mama said, that bitch. She used to touch me when I was little. And I'm sitting in this woman's house with my mom on the speakerphone spilling all of this tea to our whole family that nobody, people didn't even know that she had molested my mother. Certain people did because my mama had told them, but it never was talked about openly. And I popped her right in the middle of her house. Now I can go. Let me get my bag. Enjoy that. Oh, she was over it. My mom was over it. Not my mom. She was over it. She was like, "Oh no, I did not. Why would you tell that lie?" She's not lying. My mother don't even have. She's not lying. Aunt Joe, our older grandmother, wasn't she? Yeah, we known about it, Catherine. You think we don't know you was a dyke? We knew you was a dyke. That's what I told came. We knew you was a dyke, old bull dagger. We knew. That's why we didn't let you babysit none of the girls. And she got red in her whole house. And everybody left. just because we was country as hell. Mississippi girls, honey. But yes, whew, it's been long. So that was cute. My brother calling in the middle, asking those trans 101 questions. He does that a lot. You don't ask, unfortunately, he doesn't, not unfortunately, fortunately, he doesn't ask the same question over and over. It'll be something new and fresh. Unlike the Breakfast Club. That's exactly what I was. All right, this family reunion has been lovely, but it's time to go. But I was always that person. Then I had an uncle, my Uncle Carl. I have a video about him, my Uncle Carl. I think I told this story. I ain't gonna tell it again. But yes, my video about my Uncle Carl. But my Uncle Carl was one of them ones who everybody had me scared of him. Like, they didn't think that he was going to accept me. They didn't think that, they thought me, he lived in Chicago and we needed to come up there because my Aunt Thelma had passed away. And we were going to stay at his house. And everybody was like, oh, you might not be welcome because I was trans. And so when I got there, I was kind of scared. And I think I was like 17 or 18. And when I got there, I just sat down and I was just respectful. He didn't really say anything disrespectful to me. He didn't really do anything. And so at the end of the trip, we went back to Indianapolis, where we were from. And my Uncle Carl came with us. And so we were sitting when we got back home, we were sitting in like the dining area of my Aunt Joe's house. And they were like, this went so well for Diamond. And I was like, why wouldn't it go well for me? And my Uncle Carl was like, why wouldn't it go well for her? Why wouldn't it go well? And they were like, oh, and they did it in like a jovial manner. They were like, well, we thought you was going to be tripping. We thought that you were going to be, tripping about her staying there and her being trans and blah, 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 blah. And my Uncle Carl said, why would I trip about her? She out and sat her ass down while the rest of y'all badass kids was running around my fucking house, going in my refrigerator, breaking shit, running around crying. She sat down and had some goddamn sense. She had some good conversation. She's intelligent. She knows how to act. She's one of the kids. I was a teenager at the time. She was one of the kids that knew how to act, knew how to be respectful in my motherfucking house. The rest of y'all badass kids was bad as hell. Running around my motherfucking house. I was ready to kick them out. Why would I be shady to her when she the only one who got some sense? And I was cool with my Uncle Carl ever since then. He was always he's one of the alpha males in my family. So he was always like this big, scary man. Not in size, but he was tall, but he was one of the alpha males in my family. And so he was always somebody who gave us sorts of anxiety. He was real blunt and upfront and said what he had to say, just like an alpha male. Y'all know what I mean. Everybody has them in their family, if you have them. And so when I was around him, there was always a level of anxiety. But after that trip, we was cool as hell. He would say little funny shit. I remember one time he was saying that because his dick had stopped working, every family has an Uncle Carl. Yeah. Because he was getting older and his dick had stopped working. He was like, ooh, before you cut your dick off, man, let's see if you can talk to your doctor, see if he can give it to me. Because my shit ain't working no more and you wasted yours. And we would laugh and he would make jokes and it would just be funny. It would just be funny. And he never made me feel uncomfortable. He was always, once I became an adult, like past that time, I was never uncomfortable around my Uncle Carl. He hugged me. He just was nice. He just was Just a regular dude. He was no longer the scary. And it's not that he did anything to me when I was younger. Like, he didn't whoop me, or he wasn't. It just was because he was an alpha male and that type of male, it made me nervous around him because I didn't fit that mold of masculinity. Let me get some water. Yeah, my brother is so sweet. He's so sweet. Mm. All right, what y'all want to talk about before I go? My Uncle Carl was the same way. Yeah, everybody got an Uncle Carl. But I have some uncles who are shady, who are homophobic and transphobic and da da da. Now, they don't bother me because I've already battled my family. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I have earned my respect in my family. So they don't really fuck with me the way they do other people in my family. Did I watch Tiger King? No, I didn't. And I probably am not going to watch it. White gays being weird and abusing animals doesn't sound like my tea. I heard that it was good to some people. I heard that it was good, but it sounds weird. um, but yes, there's some people in my family, like, there are 3 pillars of LGBT in my family. So is there an open lesbian? I don't think we have an open lesbian. I don't think we have an open lesbian that's in my immediate branches. I'm sure I'm sure there's some out further down the line. But there are 3 pillars of queerness in our family. The very first one, he's like one generation above me, is my Uncle Felix. He's actually my great grandmother's brother's son, my Uncle Felix. He's like 10 years above me. And then they both, I don't know why I call him my uncle and don't call Duke I call Duke my cousin, but they're both the same thing. They're not my uncles like my mother's brothers, but they're really my cousins. That's what they're just my cousins anyway. But I call Felix my Uncle Felix. I don't know why I call him my Uncle Felix. That's weird. Anyway, so yes, Felix was the very first queer person in our family. So he got the brunt of all the like negative. I don't want that fag over my motherfucking house. I don't want, he really got the beginning negativity of the family. Then I came out young age as a trans person. So I wasn't gay. You get what I'm saying? I wasn't being a gay male. I was actually living my life as a woman. So that was a whole new level of what the fuck is going on here? And so there were some family members that I don't even fuck with because they don't fuck with me. My Aunt Saladee, she's passed now, but my Aunt Saladee, she was weird. We were at my grandmother's funeral, my great grandmother's funeral, and she scooted over on the pew when she thought that I was gonna sit by her. And I was like, bitch, ain't nobody sitting by you. So she was weird, didn't want me to come over her house. Even though she had fucking 16 kids out of wedlock. 16 or 14? 14. Girl, get out of here. So Who else? So my Uncle Felix, then my cousin Duke. My cousin Duke came out. Now Duke is bi. He's bisexual. But like 1 year he'll be with a girl and 1 year he'll be with a boy. And so like he literally bisexual. And so my uncles really, he was real nervous because he's more masculine. Because he acts like a cisgender guy. He don't act like, he just acts like a straight dude. Like if you see him and interact with him, you wouldn't know that he was bi, because he just acts like a guy, just a regular guy. He's just typical masculine. And so they didn't understand it because they used to gay people, gay dudes being like my Uncle Felix. My Uncle Felix is, honey, come in with the boots and and honey, he'll have some lime green Daisy Dukes on and some fishnet stockings and some boots, and he's a queen. And so they were that type of gay is what they were used to. They weren't used to my cousin who was bi. They don't understand his type of queerness. They like, what? You just gay. You messing with dudes, you just gay. It's either gay or straight to them. They don't understand that he is bi. And so they didn't understand it. It was weird. He brought his boyfriend over to the house and they felt like that was disrespectful. And they had threatened to pour gasoline on them and burn them up if they came back over to the house. And this is all while I'm coming to the house and they're just letting me be free. Like it's no tea. So none of us kind of understood their mindset. We didn't get it, but I do have some shady ass dudes in my family. And Uncle Carl was the alpha male of them dudes, so that's why he had that scary way. Let me see. What do you think of someone like Nikki Tutorials coming out but not really delving into the intricacies? I think that's what you mean. Intricacies of trans people and the necessity to be an ally, etc., especially on a day like today. Activists. I don't think everybody needs to be an activist. I know that she was forced out as trans based on the blackmail situation. And I don't think she would have come out. If it hadn't have been for the blackmailing, I don't think she would have come out. I don't think, because she does makeup. She didn't need it. She didn't need to. I don't think it is our place to tell people how they should show up to the world. I don't think it's our place to tell people, oh, you should do this for trans visibility. I think it is their place to decide. It's just like, I had to learn that because I used to have a negative feeling about people who were stealth because I thought that they were lazy and being selfish. Because it used to piss me off when something would happen and a girl would, and her tea would get exposed and she would run to the trans community saying, oh, I'm being discriminated against. I need help. I need lawyers. I need visibility. They're denying me my access. So now I need community to come help me and support me fight this fight. That used to piss me off when stealth girls would be exposed and they would run to us to help them. When you've been hiding behind the shadows in the safety of your selfness, and now that it's out and exposed and you need us, now you want to come and run back to us. That used to piss me off. But negative stuff that was caused by my transness, by people's ignorance and transphobia against my transness. Prior, I had that feeling. But as an adult who has been through some shit, now I can look at it and say, I understand why girls are stealth. I understand why girls show up to the community in the way that they do. So I can't really say that I would expect Nikki Tutorial to show up as this grand activist. Now, her coming out and having the platform that she has, you know, it would be good if she did it, but what's that mean? That he's like, but also, and this is another thing. You want Danny, you want her to do that, but does she really have the range to know the intricacies of trans life as a person who has lived as a woman in stealth? Does she really have the range to understand the intricacies as a beautiful passing woman who's lived in her privilege for this long with this level of support? Does she really have the range to talk about the intricacies? I don't think that she does. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I can't see her going through. I really feel like this one thing that just happened to her may have been, in regards to her transness, the first thing that has happened to her in her life, like hell. She was on Ellen. She did her video. I'm sure she made tons of money because it was monetized. You see what I'm saying? Like, I can't even say that this was particularly negative, but the blackmailing was maybe the only negative thing that came from her transness. You see what I'm saying? I don't know her life, but I can imagine that she hasn't been through anything that. I do know she talked about school being difficult for her. Yeah, I can see that. That's all of us. People who know your tea, if you transition in school. Yes, I can, sharing that story, sharing that part of her story, I think would be cool for her to do. That would be cool. True, I wouldn't want her to spread misinformation about community. I haven't thought about it that way at all. Yeah, I don't think she would spread misinformation. I just don't think she may have gone through enough to give you what you want from her. I don't think so. But I don't know her life. So maybe, but I don't know. But I do know that it's her place to decide whether or not she wants to be visible or whether or not she doesn't. Yes, it does. It does make you the angry trans person in the situation. I do know she talks about school. Okay, yeah. Random, do you watch Steven Universe? No, I don't. I don't even know what that is. Yeah. We have about 10 minutes. I wasn't planning on going 2 hours. If you're watching, thumbs up. I was planning on going an hour and a half. But we got some good conversations. And let me make sure I didn't miss anything. I live in Tampa, so it was oddly familiar. What else? I remember your little brother from TV. He's so sweet. Yeah, he is. My parents have to let the family know why I don't come around and why they don't want me to come around. I will set the room ablaze. Oh yeah, definitely. um, I done told y'all everything funny, everything funny that I can think of. Everything wasn't funny. I think I got a video coming. I'm gonna sit down and record a video since we're dealing with Rona. Since the Rona is here, I'm gonna sit down and record a video, and I think I'm gonna talk about I got some things I want to talk about. So I think I got something more edited since I've been doing lives a lot. It's a cartoon that kind of covers trans topic. Estelle Voices is one of the characters. Okay, interesting. Steven Universe. I've heard that. I heard of it, but I don't watch it. Yeah. On a non-trans talk, that what are your top 5 lockdown shows? What am I watching right now? I rewatched the whole 3 seasons of Handmaid's Tale. I just think Handmaid's is exquisite. I think it is an exquisite show. So I rewatched that. I just finished watching like an hour ago, or 2 hours now. I just finished watching Platform on Netflix. I watched Invisible shows that I'm watching. Shows. I just started watching Motherland, that witchy show on Hulu. I like that. What else? Castle Rock, Annie Wilkes, the prelude to Annie from Misery. Oh, that's so good. Mind Hunters. Do y'all watch Mind Hunters? Mind Hunters is so good. I love Mind Hunters. Is it still attached or covered with a patch? I don't know what the hell he's talking about, but it seems like he's being like weird. So yeah, kind of weird. Yeah, he seems like he's being weird. What else? Doctor No, 5 Bond flicks. Yeah, I don't know. Oh yeah, I'm not into Bond. I'm not into Bond at all. I think the only Bond one that I liked was the Halle Berry one because I like Halle Berry. Rob Ruin if this is me. Oh yeah, I just like when they come in here and be weird. I just delete it. I just delete them. Netflix, The Last OG, Tracy Morgan and Tiffany Haddish. Um, I'm not a fan of Tracy Morgan, so I don't really watch anything he's in. Is that him trying to talk about genitalia or something? I think so. I'm not for sure. I just blocked him. It's the anniversary of Baps. I love Baps. I think Baps is funny. Couldn't catch the Madam C.J. Walker watch party the other day, but what did you think about it? Um, Kim Foster for Harriet, she did a video about it, and it really sums up everything that I think about it. I think she gave a perfect analysis of it. I am from Indianapolis, so Madam C.J. Walker is a Black legend in our city. Um, like her theater is the epicenter of Black culture in our city, and so it's just something that there. And I have family in St. Louis, so Annie Malone and Madam C.J. Walker are like heroes in in those Midwest cities, in the Midwest in general. So you hear about their stories, and there are certain things that they took the liberties of making up that weren't real. Like the whole light skin, dark skin thing was not real. Like they were, you know what I'm saying? She hired that Annie Malone wasn't even light skin, and it just wasn't. They both was. It just the way they were portraying them. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. And every villain on the show was white skin. It wasn't even any white villain in the early 1900s. Stop. I didn't like any of that. Um, what are you expecting from the next season of Pose? Oh gosh. You know what? I don't have any expectations. I haven't really thought about it. I want them. I don't even know what I want them to explore. So it's the mid '90s. So it's going until the AIDS epidemic ends. So it's going to be the '90s. So it's going to be like 92, 93, 94, 94, 95. Because this was like 90, 91, 92, I guess, 91. So this new season is going to be early '90s, but like mid '90s, because the epidemic not stopped, but kind of changed course in 95, 96. So we're gonna get like a 92, 93, 94 era, and I want to know. I hate that they killed off Candy because I would want to. I want more trade situations. I really enjoyed Stan in the first season. I don't want him to come back, but I want them to explore dating relationships, the nuances in that again. They explored the client relationship. I want them to explore the relationship, like being in a relationship with a trans woman. I don't know. I don't know what is next. Now that the house has kind of dissipated, I don't know what's next for them. I don't know what's next. I would love to see some more legends on the show. I would love them to bring back Janae. She's still alive and she was around in this era. I would love them to bring back Janae and some of those legends of that era. Not the late 80s, but like the 90s girls. I would like, I would like a Octavia St. Laurent character. I would love a trans masculine character to come into fold to be one of the staples. I would love that. I would love a trans masculine character. I would love to see. I want to see what these new kids are gonna give. These new trans kids that's coming into the house of Evangelista. Yeah, remember when she was in the wheelchair, she got those two young babies that was coming in. So yes, I want them to explore that. I want them to explore that. Kim's video was fantastic. Yes, I love. Yes, the boxing ring was late. It was so late and tired. That was so late and tired. That was the tiredest part of the show. That boxing ring. That was tired. Golden Girls. What do you mean by Golden Girls? Oh, my friend Jay has been watching the Golden Girls. Have you seen the rumor about Kim Pendarvis being a trans man? Kim Pendarvis being a trans man. No, I haven't heard about that rumor. I don't even know if I know who Kim Pendarvis is. I know the last name is legendary, but I don't know a Kim Pendarvis. But I haven't heard that rumor. Okay. Well, we've been on here for 2 hours. That is enough for me. I am going to be back Friday. Kim was in Paris is Burning. I haven't seen Paris is Burning in years. But I did see a new documentary after Paris, something about after Paris is Burning, or something like that, after the burn or after something. And I'm gonna have to watch that. But yes, Friday at between 7 and 9, I'm going to do another live. If you have any kind of suggestions of topics, send it to me on Twitter, send it to me on Facebook or something like that. And I'll be sure to talk about it. All right, y'all.